So let's come down onto the floor and get started with our mobility for today. So we're going to begin on our hands and knees, imaginary pen on our belly button pointing down to the floor. I've got my knees just a little bit wider than hip width distance apart, and I'm going to start drawing these big circles on the floor with that imaginary pen on my belly button. So big circles, kind of going back through one hip, over through the other side, through one shoulder and the other, hands spreading, fingers nice and wide. That's it. Let's do a couple more in this direction. Nice, really gentle way to start warming things up. And then we'll do the same thing, but in the opposite direction. So big circles, back through the hips, over through the hands, spreading the fingers nice and wide. Excellent. We got to warm everything up today because we're doing total body strength. We got to warm up the shoulders, the core, the hips, the legs. Doing a little bit of everything. Couple more circles here. Excellent. Okay, so from here, we're going to make our way up to a downward facing dog. So hands are spreading really nice and wide. We're going to lift the hips up. The knees can stay soft and the heels don't need to touch down to the mat. And we're going to do one foot at a time, just shifting. We call this walking the dog. So one heel touches the floor and then the other heel touches the floor. It's a way to get into your hamstrings and your calves and also into your hip as well. Letting your hips shift from side to side. Just taking a little mental note of where you're feeling tension on each leg. Is it more through the hamstring or the calf or the lateral hip? And is it different on one side versus the other? Or is it the same? Okay, from here, we're going to reach our right leg up for a big, big stretch. We're going to step all the way through, and we're going to do this kind of lateral hip shift. So both hands can be on the ground or maybe one hand on the knee. And this is just a really subtle side to side shift to help to get into the hip flexors. So I'm just shifting my hips from side to side. Maybe both hands will stay on the ground. And my toe of this right foot is pointing straight forward. Yep, just like that. Remember, in our warm-ups, we're typically trying to keep things kind of as dynamic as we can. Let's turn these toes out and come up onto the outside edge of our foot. And then we're going to rotate kind of from our pelvis, from the pelvis, low back, mid back, rotating and pressing to the inside of this knee. So we're on the outside of that edge of that foot. Yeah. Still letting the hips come through. We're going to take this hand that's on the knee with an inhale, reach behind your left wrist. Then we're going to exhale, rotate open. So we're rotating all the way from the hips through the low back, mid back, upper back. Nice. Inhale, reaching. Exhale, rotating. One more. So by inhaling this way, we're getting a little bit more air into that upper back. We're going to untwizzle ourselves, make our way back to our downward facing dog. So strong hands, then the feet step back. Let's stay here for a second and pedal out, walk the dog, shift the hips from side to side. Good. I like to kind of really exaggerate that I'm going from my toes to my heels, so I get a little stretch on the arch of my foot as well. And now the left leg's going to reach up and step through. Both hands or one hand down onto the ground. And we're just shifting our hips side to side gently. Might not be a huge movement. Saying hello to the hip flexors and the inner thighs. Little gentle shift side to side. Excellent. Okay, from here, we're going to turn the left toes out. The left toes are turning out up onto the outside edge of that left foot. We're going to rotate from our pelvis, low back, mid back, upper back, pressing out into this leg. Yeah. just like that. Hang here for a second before we take this left hand and we swoop it under with an inhale, and then we exhale to rotate open. Forcing that air into that upper back. It's almost like you're a little bit rounded as you inhale and reach that hand through. Last one here. Excellent. Okay, so from this position, we're actually just going to go straight onto our hands and knees, and we're going to take one leg out to the side. So both knees are going to hop kind of wide here, and one leg's going to go up to the side. Big toe's going to go down, and we're going to rock our hips straight back and straight forward to get that nice adductor rock back inner thigh stretch. So just take your time on this one, feel it out. Going for about 10 reps, nice and slow. Then we'll do another 5 with our big toe turned up. Trying to keep the stack from our ribs to our hips. Pulling those hips straight back, broad across the collarbones. Hands are wide. And then let's rotate big toe, leg bone all open and take another 5. Just see how this stretch shifts slightly. Good. Beautiful. And then we're going to switch to the other side. So both legs nice and wide. Big toe hops out, stays down to start. Give me about 10. Pulling the hips straight back. Good. Excellent. So today, let's open up through that leg, bone, and big toe. We are doing total body strength, but we are doing 6 to 8 repetitions. So what that means is that in the last few months, we've been doing 8 to 10 reps of each exercise. We're going to make our way up to standing. We're going to get heavy through our hands. We've been doing 8 to 10 reps in September. Then we did 12 to 15 reps in October. Then we did another 8 to 10 reps, but with a big overload strategy in November when we did chest, quads, and triceps, and hamstrings, back, and biceps. Elbows go up, rotate, open, and closed. And so now we've arrived at this point where we're going to change up our strategy so that we're lifting heavier because we still need to get to fatigue, but the reps are almost half of what they were in October. The other thing to remember is that on these total body months, we're typically just hitting each muscle group once, right? We're doing one quad-based exercise, one hamstring-based exercise. So there's not going to be as much overload from the exercise perspective in terms of like in a quads, chest, and triceps workout, we're doing maybe 3 quad exercises, okay? So let's find something heavy for you, and we're gonna take a goblet squat for 6 to 8 reps. So this dumbbell should be big enough that by the time you get to 5 or 6 reps, the quads are burning and you're thinking, okay, I wanna put this guy down. So toes are turned out slightly, nice connection with the big toes, baby toes and heels. We're gonna sink down into our squat and we're gonna press the floor away. Sinking down, pressing the floor away. 6 to 8 reps. Control your speed on the way down and the way up. Just like you're sitting that pelvis straight down. You got it. And at the top, we're trying not to shove the hips forward, right? We're staying tall and stacked. Okay, when you finish your last rep, we're gonna find weights for a bent over row. So instead of doing a 1-arm row, we're doubling up. We're gonna row at the same time. So the biggest thing for this one is we might want a staggered stance because for many people that will feel better on their low back. So find weights We're only doing 6 to 8 reps with these guys, so we want something heavy. Another option is to put our yoga block in between our legs for a squeeze when we're in this hinged over position, okay? So we're hinging, we're gonna row and release, 6 to 8 reps. You're thinking about using the muscles in between the shoulder blades to pull those weights right beside your torso. If the bilateral stance is too much for your low back, try the single leg. Great job. Nice work. And if you're like, well, then I feel one hip working more than the other, that's fine. On the second round, we can always change the stagger. So as we go back to this goblet squat here, I'm going to give you the option of elevating your heels slightly, either on a set of dumbbells. So you'd put your heels right on the metal part of the dumbbell, or I've got my mat rolled up. For many of us, it's a way to keep us getting low without tipping our torso too much. Okay, 6 to 8 reps of your goblet squat. Beautiful. Taking your time. Good work. It's a little slower versus rushing through it. Standing really tall at the top. Nice. Remember, a goblet squat, even though it's a squat, we're still going to feel work in our shoulders and our abs because of where we're holding that dumbbell. Okay, find your weights for your bent over row. Set up your stance, single or double leg. Get your little hinge on, and then pull through your mid back. My knees are soft. My feet are connected into the floor. 6 to 8 reps. Shoulders relaxed, we're not hunching. Good. So the difference between a hunch and a row is this. This is hunching. This is rowing, right? So the difference is where my shoulders are. And I'm using more of these guys and less of these guys. All right. Last goblet squat, please. Let's do it. So my goal always for you guys for these months where we're doing these 6 to 8 reps is to challenge yourself, because you kind of have the confidence of knowing you're only doing 6 to 8 of these. So it's almost like, oh, I can lift anything for 6 times, right? Oh boy, feeling the burn. And it's also important to remember that when we're lifting heavy, it's a different stimulus for our body, right? So that's the other goal, is after a month of lifting 6 to 8 reps, hinge over staggered stance is going to be easier if you're feeling any tension in the low back. Good job. Way to work. After a month of lifting 6 to 8 reps, the goal is to feel stronger, like we're lifting heavier. Nice. And personally, I love the feeling that happens after a block of purposely lifting heavier, because you can really feel the difference. Okay, we're going to set up a wall hinge. So because this is only 6 to 8 reps per leg, you might choose to do it body weight. You might choose to have weights. There's lots of ways we can make this harder, like with a little floating heel We're really working on that length through the glute, but pick a position for your wall hinge. So one shin's length away from the wall. I'm going to take the first round just body weight because I find that it really helps me to kind of get into the move properly. So heavy foot, soft knee. I'm hinging right at my hips, spreading my sit bones, then pushing my foot into the floor to return all the way to standing. Oh yeah. Good. 6 to 8 reps per side. You got it. So the goal here is to feel hamstrings and glutes and not our low back. So if you're feeling low back, we got to change something, right? We got to bend our knee a bit more. Maybe we got to push down with our big toe a little bit more. Maybe we need to lean back a bit or lean forward. I want you to play around with all those things. So second side, heavy foot, tipping up over the top. Sometimes if I'm doing this and I'm feeling my low back, I might just shift through my hips a little bit. You know, sometimes that will help to reposition our pelvis, activate different muscles. Good. You got it. Ooh. I'm feeling kind of glad that I decided to do body weight on this one. For round one, at least. Okay, when you finish your 6 to 8 reps on your second side, anytime there's a balance exercise, it's going to take us a little bit of work to get into it. We're going to do narrow grip chest press. So finding dumbbells that are heavy enough to get 6 to 8 reps. So this means when we do our chest press, the elbows are coming right beside our torso instead of out at that 45-degree angle. Okay, so onto your back, on the mat or the bench, weights go up, palms are facing in, the elbows graze, and they stop right at the level of the rib cage. They're not going to drop any lower. And then we're going to press straight up. Stopping right at the level of the rib cage, pressing straight up. Good. Collarbones are open. So we might be lifting a little lighter than what we would if we were doing a normal chest press because we don't have as much assistance from our chest muscles. 6 to 8, and then you're making your way up to standing for wall hinge number 2. Optional weights. I'm going to bring some with me to get some hamstring burning for our 6 to 8 reps. So really nice, strong connection with that foot. 1 foot on the ground, 1 foot on the wall. Let's hinge up and over the top of that hip. So one kind of newer cue that's working really well for me on this exercise is to imagine that my tailbone and my pubic bone are the things that are initiating the movement. So they're kind of both reaching back, tailbone and pubic bone, and then they're both sort of coming underneath me to stand up so that I'm led by my pelvic bones instead of, say, my low back or my knees. 6 to 8 per side. Good work. Oh boy, that was a spicy one. Second side when you're ready. Soft knee, heavy foot. The weights, if you're using them, are staying really, really close to your legs, not reaching out over your toes. Take your time on these ones. You got it. Body weight is an excellent option. Lots of balance going on. And if you're finding, oh man, you're just wiggling all over the place and it's hard to balance, my favorite strategy is to stand right next to the wall and put my hand there while I do my hinge. Okay? All right. Narrow grip chest press, please. Something heavy enough that 6, 7, 8 reps feels tough for you. Tough and doable. So don't let those elbows dip all the way down past the bench. Good, good. Collarbones open. Keep it up. Ooh-wee. So the narrow grip chest press, you're going to get a bit more anterior shoulder, a bit more tricep than you are going to get chest, which is great because sometimes we just need to strengthen those areas. We did a lot of chest work last month. Let's spread the toes, get into our wall hinge, round 3, heavy foot, soft knee, moving through the pubic bone and the tailbone. So your pubic bone is where your pelvis comes together on the front side of your pelvis. So let's say, maybe 8 inches below your belly button. So if you think, okay, my pubic bone and my tailbone are both hinging and reaching, tipping over. Great job. Soft knee. Good work. 6 to 8 per side. Second side when you're ready. Don't stress about these ones taking a bit longer. It's more balance. It's a bit more of a finesse-y kind of move. And the wall is always there for you if you need support. Or sometimes I'll use a chair or a really tall foam roller to put my hand on. Good job. As you're coming up, it's because the foot is pushing you into the ground. Good work. You got this, team. 6 to 8. When you're done, last set of narrow grip chest press, please. So we're going to feel less specific overload in each muscle group, but more fatigue due to the load on these total body months. Narrow grip, elbows don't drop lower than the bench, collarbones are open, back body connected with the bench. 6 to 8. You got it. Yee-hoo. All right, team. So our next move, we're going to have to choose between a standing hip extension. So I'm just going to show you what this looks like. I've got my band anchored right about at chest height. So this could be on a door anchor or on a post. If you don't have that, no stress, I will show you the option. So I'm stacking really, really tall, and I'm going to push out through my heel. So my knees bending and I'm pushing out. But the goal of this exercise, whether we're doing mini band or super band, is that we're not getting the hip extension from arching our back. So it's not, okay, this is staying stacked, and then that hip is extending. It's going to feel like you can't extend your hip as much, because you can't. You're not using your low back. The other option is to place the mini band just above your knees, go on your hands and knees, and to press up through your heel. Okay, so pick whichever one you want. You can switch back and forth as you go, see which one you like. 6 to 8 reps per side. So whether you're standing or on your hands and knees, we're getting rib cage right over hip bones, really tall through the torso, head one way, tailbone the other, and we're going to press back through that heel. Go for it 6 to 8 times. So we should be feeling work in the butt and hopefully a little bit of stability work in your abs. I really need to reach my rib cage back in space in order to feel that kind of stability work through my abs. Second side when you're ready. I'm also thinking of those cues of drawing my hip bones together, staying long and strong through my spine. Great job. You got this. So this is as much about the movement of the leg as it is about the position of your torso. Okay, so bands can come off, or you can step out of your super band. And we're going to come down onto the mat and take light to medium. We're only doing 6 to 8 reps of this. Weight, we're going to set up a side plank from the knees or the toes, and we're going to take a reverse fly with this top arm. Okay, so elbow is slightly bent. We're going to open and we're going to close. A little bit of posterior shoulder work. So find your position, side plank from the toes or from the knees. You get to pick up through that side body, little micro bend in the elbow. We're going to open and close. So this is another benefit of our 6 to 8 rep months. Sometimes you're going to choose a harder position than you normally would because you know, oh, okay, I can do this for 6 times. Don't have to do this for 12 or 15 reps. So I'm going to challenge myself. And just by the sheer act of choosing those harder positions, we get stronger. All right, forearm, side of the shin or side of the feet. Remember, get the side plank first. Own that position. Drag the forearm down, grow up out of your shoulder. Then you can lift. The arm is like the icing on the cake. It's not the main move. Yep. If it feels too heavy, you can always go lighter. Next round. Great job. Nice work, team. All right, so deciding if you want to put your mini band back on and do the quadruped version of the hip extension, or if you're going to try this standing hip extension. So you can put the hands on your support and push back, or you can go extra spicy and just balance. But regardless, you might even want to put your hand on your low back and your low belly to make sure that you're not arching through that space. 6 to 8 reps per side. Great work. If you're doing the standing version, you've also somewhat realized that the standing leg is also doing a lot of work. Same on the hands and knees. So really long and tall through your torso. Head reaches up, tailbone reaches down or out in the opposite direction. Draw those hip bones together. Relax the shoulders. You got it. The abs are just kind of a secondary loader, right? They're holding your position, but the prime mover is your glute and your hamstring. Okay, find an appropriate dumbbell for 6 to 8 reps of your side plank. Pick a side, any side, and let's get started. Opening and closing. Good. You got it. Open collarbones. Very nice. Second side when you're ready. Flip it over. Flip it on. I love this exercise. I find it makes me feel really strong when I do it for less reps because it's like, oh, you can lift a heavier dumbbell. You're holding up your whole core. Great work. Nice job, team. Okay, last time for each one. So pick your poison. Are you going to go quadruped? Are you going to go standing? They're both great options. I find quadruped, I feel my abs a bit more, but standing, I feel like I have to work on my balance a bit more. Head reaching long, tail reaching long, rib cage reaching up, pressing into our heel without forsaking that low back position. So it is hard to extend your hip without dropping through your low back. So keep the ribs, back ribs, reaching up for the ceiling. Oh boy. The more you can kind of hold this position, the more likely you are to feel your shoulders, your glutes, your abs, right? If we're struggling to hold this position and we're kind of loosey-goosey and moving around, it's going to be much more challenging to feel the glutes and the abs on this one. I feel my shoulders as well. Just a little bit of everything. Okay, team, last move of the day before I send you on your way. Pick a side, any side for your side plank. Forearm outside of shin or calf or toes. Remember, get the position first. Own your strong side plank. We can't layer on a move if we don't feel strong in that position. So that might mean that we have to go down to the knees. Good job. Wonderful work, team. So keeping that little micro bend in that elbow as you open and close on this one. Great work. Way to work. Underside arm is also working. Sure you figured that out already. Awesome job, team. When you're done, we're going to make our way into a little rounded child's pose. So my hips are going to come back onto my heels and I'm rounding down like a little bug that's hiding. So your hands can go beside you if you want. We're trying to get length through that low back space. So imagine my hand is right on that low back and you're kind of dropping your tailbone and rounding into that low back space. And then we're going to take 5 really big deep breaths there. So if this feels hard because you're kind of crunched up and it's hard to breathe, yes, that's what it's supposed to feel like. You can also put the hands forward if that helps you kind of push and round into your low back a bit. Let the glutes go. Try to keep a bit of tension on the front of your abs. Helps to get more length into the low back.
All right, my team.
You are all finished for your total body strength workout for today. Thank you so much for coming. Nice to see you all.